We are live. Magic Mania back right in front of you guys. We got John, Juan, Luca, and Josh. We got everybody out here covering you guys. Magic just had their media day earlier this week. We were lucky enough to have two of our members, Juan and Josh, were both out there covering live. We're gonna get it right to you with some of the takeaways because obviously the Magic season we're coming pretty soon. Preseason is less than a week and a half away, and then the regular season is just over a month away. We're getting real close to that time to get it rolling. We'll make sure we keep you right on top of everything. So, Juan, I'll kick it to you, my man. You were there on Monday during media day. What was your biggest takeaway from that experience?
Yeah, first of all, it was, a first class experience. The Magic training facility, such a nice, I think it's the second year they've had media day there now. So that was really just a fun experience. But yeah, biggest takeaway, I guess you could say, is just the maturity level you feel from this team. They went to the first round of the playoffs. First time this group got to experience that kind of, high level basketball. And then, of course, you had Franz and Mo. They played in the Olympics. So a lot more experience from this group. And then they bring in a guy like KCP. And then they bring in an experienced rookie, you could say, a 4-year rookie in Tristan Da Silva. So very, compared to last year and the years prior, it was that group, very young, learning. Now you get that sense of maturity, and this group just seems like they're ready to take that next step.
What was when you talked about the mindset and the approach and just kind of the culture of the team now going through that type of playoff experience? What were some of the things that you've noticed with the culture of the team now that you have one that has playoff experience versus maybe the more youthful team last year?
Yeah, I think it starts with, their franchise guys, Franz and Paulo, and especially Paulo. He started off being rookie of the year, then second year all-star. Now he's looking at, the team goal, and that's taking the Magic to heights that they haven't seen in years. And he mentioned it, trying to go to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. So, just the leadership role that the franchise players are looking to take is something that really stood out as well.
100%. And especially, like you said, bringing in guys, whether it's a 4-year senior or guys that have made it to the finals and won like KCP, guys like that is what's going to make this next. Luca, what do you feel like as we have some comments coming in here? We got CSAP is, he's saying F Orlando. Yeah, cool. Why not? Right. I mean, love the comments. Appreciate the feedback, guys.
Orlando pride,
That's always fun. I mean, as long as you guys can see, I maybe have a little bit of red and black showing a little bit of bias there. But I mean, hey, Orlando, they got a good team. It's going to be competitive this year. Any Heat fan that doesn't think that this Orlando Magic team is going to be competitive in the Southeast and just Eastern Conference division is kind of being a little delusional, right? When it comes to that side of things. And, being a super huge fan myself, it's like this Magic team has the young assets. They have the young talent. They have cap flexibility. They have so much that's going for them on top of a little bit of a newer of a front office than the ones that ruined things when Dwight and kind of things were going on during that. So you have a lot of different changes, kind of a new regime, and that regime is growing up with this Orlando Magic squad. So Luca, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I think the word that you're looking for is confidence. They're just more confident now, bro. Like their leader is a 4th-year guy. He led them to a game 7 in the first round of the playoffs, and they arguably should have won the series. They should have won. And then like we said earlier, you had very experienced talent with KCP. It's just him alone. It's just showing that these guys are getting more confident. They're getting more comfortable with the style of basketball that they're playing, and I think they're looking forward to this season more than any of the other ones before because they're really looking to make a name for themselves. Even though they already have this last year, they already surprised the expectations. Starting off, I think it was like 15-0 or whatever when they were like their number 1 seed in the East for a fat minute, I think it was. So they time and time again, they have literally surpassed the expectations and gotten better each time. And so it's like that's just what we're seeing from this team. They're just more confident in their own skin, and they're just getting ready to just really show the league that they're ready and that they're here, especially in the East when it's the way how competitive it is right now, especially with some of the trades that just went down. Man, it's really going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely
like you said. Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely a cohesive unit. The GM, Jeff Weltman, he had mentioned, in the offseason, he noticed, guys were talking to each other, keeping the conversation going. They were hanging out. I mean, they have their core and they're building out a team that, wants to go deep in the playoffs this year. guys were mentioning, where they ended up last season wasn't the goal, but it was progress, and they want to build off of that. I think Paulo said, his goal is to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think with a leader like Paulo, Franz, I mean, it's possible. I think they really their team dynamic, just on paper it fits, and the vibe that I got from media day, it was definitely a room that felt they've got their goal in mind, and they feel that they can reach that. So media day in general was just, it was a lot going on, right, Juan? They had the radio drops, the video promotions, the photo promotions, and all that, but they kept it centered around there's big hopes for this team, and they want to make a deep run in the playoffs.
And were you able to get any questions, or to like some of the maybe upper management, or just anybody that's not a player? What was the because Juan talked about the growth from the players, right? And what we saw from last year to this year. What was the confidence level and the mindset, like you said, from the upper management, the coaches, the people around the players? What were you able to see and feel out from those people?
Everyone's buying into it. They want to see this team succeed, grow, progress more than what they accomplished last season. I think Weltman, he nailed it home. He said, these guys, they love Coach Mo. They want to continue working for him, and have this team succeed. With that kind of positive reinforcement around this team, it's hard to see them fail. So I think it's a culture that we've seen grow and nurture, and now we're seeing that next stage of them hitting that stride. So I think media day definitely felt like this is a team that wants to go deep into the playoffs, and they're serious about it, and they're going to put that work in. Jalen Suggs, I heard he was training with Phil Handy in Santa Monica, improving his ball handling skills. That's a guy who, if in the basketball world, he's a top trainer. So for a guy to go out there, work on his skills in the off season, it shows that, he's serious about contributing to this team and, going deep into the playoffs.
100%. Go ahead, Luca.
I was gonna say, I think that just speaks levels to especially because I love how you they love to play for their coach. I think that's something that's so important, especially as an athlete. If you're really especially with a lot of teams right now that I feel like are either in head coach turmoil, or they've had the head coach for a while, they're paying him off. We're in a very fortunate position to where the organization really does love the coach, and the players love him just as much. And from what I've seen, from where I'm sitting, it seems like a lot of Magic fans also are very content with this performance so far. I think he really does have the potential to keep advancing things. I think the Eastern Conference is going to be tough, and I think that this year is going to be, in my opinion, one of the most pivotal years for this team, because the Eastern Conference is only going to get harder, especially like we've talked about with how many offseason moves I feel like, me personally, were Eastern Conference heavy. So many of the teams in the East got better than teams in the West did, you know what I mean? And on top of that, it's just I feel like that they're just going to be competing with these teams, obviously, throughout the playoff series. And if they can't beat the Cavs, then they're gonna struggle with the Knicks, with the Sixers, with the Celtics, with the Bucks. So I think right now it's just a good time, because they're very confident. They're extremely happy to be in Orlando. They love their coach, and they really made some, even though it wasn't a lot of moves, they made the right moves on paper. So I think that it works out. And so I definitely think the front office has. I would assume. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I would assume the front office and the staff would have every reason to be happy, and be in high spirits.
And I think that's a really good point with the team's direction and where they're at right now. Every season there has to be some sort of progress made, or that's where you're going to see a change happen. Like you saw from last year to this year. Now you made it to the first round, Game 7. Paulo said Eastern Conference Finals. Even if this team doesn't make the Eastern Conference Finals, if they make it to the semifinals and put up a competitive fight against a Milwaukee, against a Boston, against a Miami, right? that's still a successful year because it's showing growth year to year. Now, if you see this team maybe go backwards, Franz doesn't have a great year, or maybe you didn't get as much of the ball handling, and the offense is a little clunky, then you start making more moves. But I think depending on the growth that you'll see during this season, right, and how the payoff will play towards the end of the season, really will continue to direct how this team will go. Because right now, everybody's buying in, right? Because progress has been made with the coaches, progress has been made with the players, even the upper management. They've hit on a lot of their draft picks. You know what I mean? And when something like that happens, it's a lot easier for you to buy in as a group when all levels it's just working. So when it comes to the players itself, were you which players did you feel, or were you able to kind of get any questions into some of the players? And if not, which were some of the players that you feel like exuded the most excitement for this coming season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first one that comes to mind is always Cole Anthony. I mean, he's just that energizer guy. He's that player that you want on your team. Yeah, no, exactly. But to kind of touch on what you guys were mentioning before, I think that'll be the thing that'll stand out the most is how good did the in-house guys get, the players that they drafted, such as Franz and Paulo, and then now Da Silva. But some of the players that really stood out, of course, would be KCP. He had a lot of high energy. Of course, this was his first media day with his new team, and then Paulo, Franz, those guys. Mo had high energy. But definitely it'll be interesting because this is the first season where the Magic haven't had Markelle Fultz in a few years. So the point guards and all the guards in general will have to really step up. Jalen Suggs still looking to get paid, of course. Franz Wagner just got that big extension. So a lot of expectation, of course. I know the team wants to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, but let's see how good the players have gotten. Is Paulo continuing to rise? I think that's going to be pretty obvious, but Franz is going to have to live up to a lot of expectations now. Jalen Suggs, like we mentioned, playing for the deal, so it'll be interesting. A lot of things to watch with this Orlando Magic team for sure.
Contract year, Jalen Suggs, and Josh, one of the things you mentioned as well is Jonathan Isaac putting on about 30 pounds this offseason, right? And I think
he looked brolic out there.
and with this team, the center position is one of the weaker positions, right? They have good depth and they have solid play, but they don't have any masterful defensive players. Their offensive players, are solid, but not the greatest on that side of things, right? They're manageable, they're serviceable, but they're not like your high-end players. With somebody like, Jonathan Isaac, who has shown to get hurt every now and then, but when he's on the court, he shows exciting plays. He shows a lot of, athleticism. What do you think 30 pounds for him potentially does to bolster the center position for this team?
I think, it helps him. My working theory is that he's put on the weight to make sure, he stays on the court. And he looked happy out there. So I think, signs are looking positive. It's one of those things that we kind of have to wait to see, guys playing the game and, see how they perform. I know he was sporting his own shoes, so that was pretty cool. That's always a confidence boost. Yeah. So he had that going out, and that's always a confidence boost. But right, he's had health problems in the past, and I can't remember the last time he played a full season, to be honest with you. So I'm hoping he plays more games this season than he did last, and keeps progressing.
As you guys
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because I'm honestly trying to find his weight when he was drafted, because I would love to see what it was. But I know at 6'10" right now, 230 is what he's listed at right now. It says right here 205. So he's put on 25 pounds as he got into the league, right? So I think he's figured out, if I'm gonna stay and be healthy, I gotta get big. You know what I mean? So and right now this is on Google listed at 230. So he may not be 230. So let's say he's like a cool 250, right? 6'10", 250. I mean, we already know what he's capable of, just on the defensive side, of the ball. So it's like, I think that him adding that weight is only going to be a benefit to him, especially guarding, most likely, like you said, the center position is kind of weak in Orlando. So he's more likely going to be guarding that 4 or 5 position. I don't really know how effective it is going to be, especially because he already is, like you said, a player to get injury prone, and now he's gonna be going against 6'5" guys. The average center in the league, bro, now is 6'11", 7 foot. Almost every center is a 7-footer. Like I don't know what they're feeding the kids, but so, like, we'll just have to see, to be honest with you. But I do think it's like Josh said, it is ultimately going to be a betterment for him. I really do think that this is going to help him stay on the court because, we've seen a lot of players in the league. I think KD might be one of the only exceptions we've seen to where he's just been skinny his whole career. But for the most time, and maybe like Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford, but those guys are different, like for the most part, we see it into the league players, they're coming in a little skinny and they put on pounds, Obviously Jonathan Isaac has been in the league for some time now. It's not like he's a second year, third year guy, but right. I think at the end of the day, it's still going to be beneficial to him. And as long as he's on the court, it's beneficial for the team.
I'm looking at the Orlando Magic training camp roster, and it says Jonathan Isaac came in at 240 and Caleb Houston at 235.
That's crazy. Hey, 6'10", 240, bro. That's solid. Hey, 10 more pounds, he's straight, though. I'm just saying. 10 more pounds, solid.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
And Juan, how much more confident are you in this center room this year, just with maybe some of the progressions you've seen from some of the guys? Are you more confident in the center room this year, knowing that he's kind of done that, or are you feeling just pretty much the same from last year?
I think, probably a little more confident considering, what you guys were talking about, him putting on that weight. It shows that, he's taking it serious and that, they're going to have more situations where they're going to need him to play that 5. And, him taking it that serious, shows, some confidence for sure. And then Wendell Carter, of course, it's going to be a matter of how healthy he remains and, how much of an impact he has on the court. When he's able to stay healthy and be on the court, I mean, he's as good as any big out there. I mean, he's able to stretch the floor and things like that. So, and then you got Goga, some extra depth. And then you got Mo Wagner, of course. He's, a spark plug. He can go for 20 and 10 any night. So I think, this center room it's really interesting, but I think it's, of course, with any team, it's just a matter of how healthy they stay.
100% health plays a huge factor, but I think if this team is healthy, the amount of depth they have on the front court, like you said, with the Wagner brothers, you have now Jonathan Isaac with the extra weight, you have a lot of extra depth on there. So final takeaways, we'll go from this one, and then we'll kind of just close it up from there. So Josh, I let Juan open on it. Final takeaways from your media day experience.
It was a whirlwind. It was my first media day ever. So I kind of just took it all in, but also, we were there to work. So, made sure to get my content where I could. It's always great meeting more of the Magic staff. I think they have a great organization. They have a beautiful training center. I mean, it's 2 years old, state of the art. I think that definitely helps attract and keep top name players and top caliber talent. The staff is great. It was always great meeting more people in the media space. It was good seeing Juan out there, and it was a great experience overall.
Awesome. Juan, final thoughts on your media experience and what you got out of it.
Yeah, it was once again a great experience. It was my second time, so it was cool to kind of get back in there and kind of be like a vet in a way. I already saw a lot of these, staff members and stuff. Yeah. So it was a little different because the first year, like Josh said, it's a lot. So when you go the second time, you kind of have an idea where to set up this time. So it was cool. But it's basketball season, October 7th. Next Monday is the first preseason game. So basketball is literally here right in the middle of football season, which you got college football and all that craziness. So UCF, UF coming up.
Nah, we don't talk about the UCF right now, bro. they sorry right now. They don't deserve the publicity.
Funny enough, the Magic players were, so it was like Paulo, who was it? Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Coach Mo. They were all at the Colorado UCF game.
I feel bad for him. For him.
There was a couple of days before media camp. So, I mean, to the point of the team being cohesive, for all those guys to show up together and, that shows a unified front. So I think with that energy,
sure.
Going into preseason, I think we're in a great spot.
Yeah.
No, I think this should be one of the most exciting Magic seasons that we've seen since potentially young Dwight Howard era, or, even back to the Grant Hill era, when you're talking about even before that. Right. So super excited to see kind of how things get going with that aspect. And this team is going to be fun to watch, man. We got preseason coming soon. We got regular season coming after that. We're going to keep you covered right here for all your Orlando Magic coverage. And also, hey, so maybe even some general NBA coverage. We're going to keep it growing here at 5 Reasons Sports. Make sure you guys subscribe. We got Luke already with the Milwaukee Bucks. We got potentially some stuff with some other teams out here on the East Coast. So we'll see what we got going on. You guys have a great rest of your night. And Josh, how do we end these shows, man?
Go Magic.
Let's go. Have a good one, guys.